Hi everyone, Nesu here. I draw for fun and I make videos for fun. And today I want to talk about Uzaki-chan Wants to Hang Out, episode 9. Okay, I've been waiting for this episode to come out for so long, okay, because Uzaki's mum is my favorite character, because I've read the manga before the actual anime came out, and oh my gosh, she's so funny. Okay, let's just get into it. So, we start with Uzaki's mum. She's getting the tea ready. We can't see her face, and then the camera only shows like from her mouth down, and she's watching a TV show. I say TV shows, but it's like a drama about some young guy confessing to an older woman, and Uzaki's mum is surprised at the 25-year-old age gap between them. Then we get the title of the episode, called Tsuki Uzaki Wants a Thrill. So we cut to Sakurai and Uzaki just walking together, and he wants to return the overpaid money for the futon that Uzaki ruined in the previous episode from her drinking. Previous two episodes. Not 10 seconds into the conversation, Uzaki starts bullying Sakurai about visiting a girl's house for the first time. Which, okay, to be fair, for the first time, obviously, that happens. Like, you're going to be shook, okay? And he can't even, defend it. He just accepts it. You see his face, he's nervous. And he admits that he has an upset stomach. Then Sakurai cheers up when Uzaki says, "Hey, I've got cats." And, it literally reminded me of when I was in that same situation where I was visiting a girl's house for the first time. She was a friend, and obviously I was scared, but then I was there for the cats. So obviously that made me feel bad, because I was like, okay, I'll play with some pets. Fun. Anyway, so Uzaki's annoyed because his expression changes as soon as she says that she has cats there. He instantly is happy after being nervous before. And then we get a formal introduction to Tsuki Uzaki. And the first thing we notice is the height difference. So Hana is the smallest, obviously. Then we get Tsuki, who's the second tallest. And then, obviously, my man Sakurai is towering over both these two girls. And then Tsuki says that she finds him scary. And then she starts monologuing to herself that Uzaki never said that her senior was a boy. She probably never told you because she didn't really think it was that deep. Obviously, Sakurai is respectful despite his initial appearance. And thanks Tsuki for offering to pay for the futon replacement. When he says he'd like to return the money, she gave him... he gives her an unintentional glare, which then obviously scares her even more. Uzaki says, "Don't just stand there, come inside," which of course further scares Tsuki. Sakurai says, "Nah, don't worry about it. I'll just return the money and then I'll go," which obviously Tsuki thinks, yeah, I don't want to keep him. And then as soon as Sakurai sees the cats near the door, he instantly he starts being menacing like a freaking JoJo character and says, "Well, if you insist." And then we cut to them explaining why Sakurai had to return some of the money. And we think that they're in front of each other. So we got Sakurai next to Uzaki and then Tsuki in front. And then it pans out and we see that Uzaki and Sakurai are in the kitchen while Tsuki is in the living room. And there's such a big distance between them. Sakurai says, "I tried to give the money back, but Hana wouldn't accept it, so I thought I'd return it in person." And then as soon as Uzaki heard him call her by her first name, then he starts she starts getting all happy. But the thing is, he's only doing that because there's two Uzakis, so it'd be confusing. So of course he's going to call one Hana, and then the other one, obviously probably Mrs. Uzaki. I don't think he ever actually calls her Uzaki or Hana. He just says Hana or Tsuki. He just says he doesn't even say anything. I never noticed that. That's sus. Okay, anyway, getting off topic. So Tsuki asks Hana to come over for a second, and then she starts pulling her cheeks, saying that why would you always said that you're senior at college. You always talked about them, but you never specified their gender. Then Uzaki says no, and then Tsuki says, why did you spend your night at a boy's place? Then Sakurai says to himself, no wonder she's mad. To be fair, I get it. Uzaki says, but he's all right, to which Tsuki says, that's not the point and you know it. Sakurai is, then obviously Sakurai says to himself, yeah, can't argue with that. Obviously the situation is a bit odd. Tsuki lets go of Uzaki and then says, I get the gist. This girl has been such a terrible trouble to you. I was like, honey, please. You don't know the half of it. Uzaki knocked him out in the last week's episode. Like she got all like embarrassed, and she had her phone in her bag, and then smacked my guy Sakurai in the jaw, and man was out cold. Anyway, Sakurai says, oh, not at all. He's obviously being polite because Sakurai is a nice guy. Uzaki then says, why... No, Uzaki says, why are you saying that? So you're saying that my looking after you is a big bother to you. And then he says, 1 out of 10 times I'm grateful for it. Then Tsuki says to herself, I can see how they spend their time together. Then she comments what everyone else is thinking. They seem awfully close. I'm like, whoa. Anyway, then she says he may look frightening, but he seems serious enough, thank goodness. As she says that, one of the cats jump on her lap, and I think we know where this is going. I was like, whoa. Then Tsuki says, Hana brought home a boy. Perhaps I'll have other things to worry about before long. Just kidding. I was like, excuse me, what do you think these two do together? She then thinks that Sakurai is staring at her, which, to be fair, he kind of is, but you're not the main target, you're just in that general direction. Then she says, actually, not at me, more so at my chest. I was like, oh, please stop. You know that's not what is happening. Okay, he's looking at the cat, which is below you. What below you? Below your chest. That's on your lap, okay? Let's not get it twisted, okay? Sakurai isn't like that. She says he's so fixated so shamelessly at that spot. I was like, again, lady, please. He likes cats, okay? Jeez. We've only just met and he's after my body. I was like, oh, stop! This is because of that freaking drama that you watched earlier in the episode. And then she says, he can't be after me and my daughter. I was like, brah, you've been reading too many doujins, honestly. And then I love how Uzaki knows where he's staring. Like, she instantly knows that obviously he's staring at the cat on her mum's lap, which is why he's got such a big smile on his face. And then Tsuki clearly has misunderstood what's happening. He even says to himself, I love cats. Uzaki then says, ready to start petting? Which, before we even get to Tsuki's reaction, taken out of context, that can mean something else, okay? A lot of this episode, stuff can be taken out of context, okay, and imply other stuff. Anyway, then of course, Sakurai hasn't had the best of luck with cats. He's a bit apprehensive, as he says, I mean, if I can. And then Tsuki still doesn't realize that they're talking about the cats. Uzaki then says, you probably can't just yet. She's still on high alert. Again, without context, of course we know that they're talking about the cats, but Tsuki's reaction says otherwise. Uzaki then says, she's shy around strangers, stopped by often words, often enough, and she'll get used to you. all while this is happening, Tsuki's reaction is she's just shocked at what's happening. Then Uzaki finishes with, she might even come running at you. Then Tsuki says again in her head, absolutely not, there's no chance of that happening. I don't know, Sakurai's kind of lean, you know? It's like, bruh, have you seen this man without a shirt? Jeez, I'll be like, you, Sakurai, jeez. He's basically a more toned version of Gurei from Fairy Tail, Gurei Fullbuster. He's like, yeah, you're right, it might not fly today, but one day I'd like to hold her. He's still talking about the cat. Tsuki, I swear, honestly, relax. And then she's shocked. She's like, what? Sakura's like, well, I've returned the money, so I'm gonna leave. I don't want to overstay my welcome. Then Tsuki starts like, she's trying to say like bye, but obviously she's stumbling over her words because she's still in shock over what just happened. And then we cut to the cafe where Uzaki is serving her mum. I don't think Tsuki knows that Sakurai is working there. But anyway, Ami comes up to introduce herself to Tsuki and the boss as well. Then the boss says that Uzaki is a hard worker. Apparently, Uzaki is a big hit with the customers. Children love her, which doesn't surprise me. Uzaki is incredibly childish, so I'm sure they click easily. Ami and the boss praise Uzaki for bringing in regulars to the shop. I'm sitting here waiting for the punchline because so far we've just gotten like nice things to happen. Talking about Uzaki, there's a punchline coming in somewhere. There's another factor that brings in mums, and obviously we're talking about my boy Gurei Fullbuster. No, actually Sakurai. Ami says, "Oh, do you know him?" Then Tsuki says, somewhat. I'm like, somewhat is right indeed. Ami says once you get past his eyes, he's a closet hunk. I'm like, bruh, that's brilliant. He says that. She then says that he's tall, slim, fit, serious, with good manners. He checks all the boxes. I'm like, yo, he does kind of check all the boxes, you know? I'm still single, what? If the early part of the episode is anything to go by, I don't think she needs convincing about, you know, how good Sakurai is. Even the boss is starting to big him up, saying that Sakurai used to be an athlete, so he knows how to speak to his elders. He's dignified, and all the grown-ups like that. I was like, chase, loved that. Tsuki says, oh, is that so? I was like, kid yourself, you love it. Ami starts to say, you know, all the mums are stopping by to chat with a young man. We're making bank here. I'm like, what? You can't say that. Then the boss says, don't talk shady about your father's cafe. And then Tsuki says, I understand why he has fans, but what about Sakurai? Does he like married or older women? I was like, bro, no, you did not just ask that. Please, honestly. Oh god, she's such a good character. I mean, the boss are stunned at this, okay? They're literally in shock. And then Sakurai says he's going to put the beans in the stock room. And Uzaki says that she'll help. I can't imagine that going well. Then we cut to one of the cutest scenes that I've seen in this anime, right? Tsuki is slightly opening her eyes in embarrassment. Finally, the boss comes out and says, okay, there's clearly a misunderstanding here. Ami says, he's no cougar hunter, he's just an idiot. Then Ami says, married women, yikes. Like, in her head, she's like, hey, married women, really? Jeez. I was like, don't be rude like that, come on. You can't blame her for that, man. Then the boss, he also says, married woman, like that in his head. Tsuki's like, yes, of course, what was I thinking? And she's all embarrassed to bring it up. Then we cut to Sakurai talking about coffee beans with Uzaki. Tsuki comes to the closet to say goodbye. When she overhears Uzaki say, do you prefer... I can't even read this. She says, do you prefer mature adults too? Okay, Uzaki is referring to the coffee beans, okay? Mature bean. That's what they're talking about, okay? That's not what Tsuki interpreted that as, though, obviously. This is too much for me. Tsuki opens her eyes slightly again, which I love, by the way. Then Sakurai says, "Yeah, I guess that would be my preference. There's an overall richness, which, okay, again, taken out of context, it can imply other stuff, okay? Then they continue to say things that can be misinterpreted. Then Sakurai says, overindulge, and you get excited that you get so excited that you can't sleep." Which is true when we're talking about coffee. Like, if you drink too much, you can't sleep. That's happened to me. Does happen to me, actually, because I drink so much. And then Uzaki says, "Want to try what we have now? It's your chance." And then Sakurai says, "You know we can't, but I plan to get a real good taste before long." Then after he says that, Tsuki falls to her knees. Then she says, "I knew it." He has his eyes on me. I was like, stop! Oh god. Then we cut to Uzaki and Sakurai playing Street Fighter with Sakurai's new glasses. Sakurai loses again, apparently, and his excuse is he's never played the game before. I was like, kid yourself. You could at least do more damage than what you've done if this is your second or third turn. And then Uzaki says that's hardly an excuse, which is facts. You know, get GUD, noob. She admits that not only did she get it like 2 days prior to the meetup, but she also spent the day before training. And he says that's playing dirty. I was like, yeah, that's kind of scummy. I won't lie. And then she responds, "I'll do whatever it takes to see you frustrated." I was like, oh my goodness, I know a friend who does that. He does that exact same thing. He'll get a new game, we play it, I have no experience, and then he'll beat me, and then he just takes, oh my god, he takes a piss. She goes in on that, like, after match dissing, you know them people, after you lose a match, they start just dissing you. And then he goes to get a drink in his frustration. Then Uzaki says, "Oh yeah, get me one too, since you lost." Then Uzaki says, then Sakurai says, "To think your mum is so quiet and kind," which then puts Uzaki in a mood. I was like, whoa, that's kind of rude, dude. Then for whatever reason, Uzaki is spying on her mum. We cut to we cut over to Uzaki spying on her mum. Then we cut to the show that I think this is the next episode in that show. Tsuki's watching it, and I think this is why she thinks certain things about Sakurai, because of the show she's watching. And then Uzaki's still staring at Tsuki. Then we cut to Tsuki bathing. I'm not going to comment on that further. And Uzaki is still spying on her. Then Tsuki catches Uzaki this time and says, "Oh, what's wrong?" And to which Uzaki says, "Oh, nothing." And obviously she's annoyed. And then we cut to the cafe again. Uzaki's at work. Then she says her usual, the usual thanks come again, but there's like a change in her voice. Like, it's not as, I don't want to say her voice is annoying, but you know what I mean, like that little, anyway. And then even there's such a big change that even the customer points out, "What's up?" I was like, oh my god. Something happens, right? Ami turns to Sakurai, who then turns away. I was like, what? Is this that Elmo meme? What's going on? Then Sakurai explains to Ami why Uzaki is upset. I was like, if you know why she's upset, why not just apologize? And then I realize I get why she's doing that now. She's acting like her mum, so that Sakurai can no longer say things like, "Oh, your mum's so bad at this, that, and the other." And then she starts talking to him, and then he's itching and screaming in terror as she does it. And then I was thinking to myself, somehow Uzaki acting like this is more annoying than her usual antics. And then he does this thing, right? She's trying to show concern, but he's taking damage as this is happening. She says "Oh, I'm concerned for your health," and you see him getting battered. He's taking hits, and then even the boss says, "Why are you taking damage when someone is nice to you?" Then she starts fake tearing up, saying, "Oh, don't overexert yourself," which that annoyed me, I won't lie. And then Sakurai, what does he say? He says, what's with this fake good Kohai act? Go back to screwing around. Then the boss and Ami tell, Sakurai to chill, which no, he has every right to be annoyed. I'm annoyed too. Then Ami starts having delusions about a new service to the restaurant, to which the boss says, nah, let's relax on that for a bit. Uzaki is like, okay, I'll stop. Anything you'd like to say? Like in that smug way, Michi's like, oh, is there anything you want to say to me if I'm going to stop? And then he actually sucks it up. He sucks it up and apologizes. And then there's this she has this smug look of complete victory over Sakurai. Then to add to the look, she says, as long as you know. I was like, no, Sakurai, don't take that. Fight back. Be really nice to her. Watch what will happen if you're really nice to her. She'll be like, oh, go back to being angry all the time. Anyway, so my man says, I prefer the usual Uzaki. I was like, yo, it's over, it's finished. The boss and Ami say at the same time, there is Sakurai's famous WTF attack. He fires at Uzaki with an unintentional compliment, which disarms her, obviously. And now she's annoyed at him for not thinking before he says stuff. They start arguing. Ami is out here. She's still coming up with ideas saying that, the customers should come in Monday to Thursday, watching these two put on personas. And then the boss is like, no, stop. That's an awful idea. Then some random kid comes in. This is where the episode, it's weird, because, the immersion, breaks. So what happens is some random kid tells them to stop fighting. I was like, kid yourself. This is adult business. Stay out, kid. Then the mum is like, oh, sorry, I didn't mean for my child to, to get involved. And then Ami says to the kid, oh, it's not a fight, it's a lover's quarrel. I was like, oh, God. Don't be teaching children such words. Then the kid gives them a lottery ticket, so they start fighting. And then what happens is they go to, this is after work, obviously. So they're walking, they go to a lottery booth or whatever. Then they win a trip. I'm like, this wasn't in the manga, was it? I do not remember this. It's like there's oh my God, they win the trip, right? And it's like product placement for this Conan thing, which is already popular. I don't know why they put it in Uzaki, the Uzaki anime. And then it ends with two shadowy figures. My guess is those shadowy figures are Ami and the blonde friend of Sakurai's. I can't remember his name. And I think that's supposed to be a reference, to Conan. I think those shadowy figures, I don't know. I've never watched Conan or read it, so I don't know. But yeah, that's where the episode ends. So it starts out really funny, and then that end part just, it broke immersion for me. I didn't really appreciate that part, but yeah, that's my 22-minute review of the episode. Hope you liked it. Please like and subscribe. Follow me on Instagram at nesu.art. And yeah, goodbye.